shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
He was assassinated here in Orem today. I'm here because free speech shouldn't be violated, because we shouldn't murder each other as Americans. We should listen to each other. I'm here because Charlie Kirk was a good Christian. He loved Jesus. He wanted dialogue, not civil war. That's why I'm here. I'm here to let his family know that a lot of Americans are in sorrow with them today.
I've been to countless Turning Point events, ran the Turning Point chapter at my high school. I don't believe anyone should be persecuted for their beliefs. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, no matter what they are. No one can tell you what you can or can't believe, and the fact that Charlie Kirk had to die because of his beliefs is just truly heartbreaking, and I'm showing up so that the young Republicans of America don't give up because of this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Kirk unfortunately was unalive today. This man had spent his whole political career speaking about black people, on having low IQ, blaming the crime epidemic in the United States on blacks, describing black people as savages, unconditioned and unruled individuals that needed more discipline and order. It's kind of ironic when you stop and think about it. He was given a speech at UVU, Utah, in a small town, in a small city that's predominantly white, with a function of predominantly white members that was attending his speech, and he was unalived by a white suspect. If only Charlie Kirk would have spent more time worrying about white on white crime.
Of all the things I predicted this year, which isn't much because I'm not fucking Nostradamus, Charlie Kirk being assassinated definitely wasn't on that list. I'm going to be honest, I was deeply shocked by this information, fundamentally shook to my core, and not in a positive way, because I can be very anti someone or believe they're evil or be fundamentally ethically against everything they stand for, but I cannot support something that comes from something else I'm fundamentally against. Cannot be for gun reform and gun control while simultaneously supporting the consequence of that not happening, even in these circumstances. And I know what he said just before it happened as well. And I also blame the systemic failures that led Charlie Kirk to have the ideology that he had more than Charlie Kirk himself. I can't be troubled about a lack of empathy in this day and age for the very real things I speak about and then not have any empathy towards this situation. I also know what Charlie Kirk's stance was on empathy and it being woke too. However, of course, there is going to be a lot of social commentary and discourse about this event. I'm finding it interesting. We're already seeing a pattern of people trying to police other people's reactions to it, and I'm not trying to police them policing either. I'm just saying I understand that there will be a lot of people who will also have not just a lack of empathy, but will celebrate his death. Because he wasn't just polarising, he believed that certain people just didn't deserve to exist. He believed 10-year-old rape victims should be forced to birth their rapist baby. He believed immigrants didn't deserve due process before being ripped away from their family members and deported. He believed trans people didn't deserve to exist as their authentic self, and he didn't believe in equal rights for any of the LGBTQI community. We all know what he said about gun violence and casualties of that just being the way it is. And if someone was vocal in advocating for you not to have basic human rights or for you to not even exist, and then they were assassinated, I can understand why it would be hard to develop empathy or sympathy for that person. People are going to have very valid reactions to this, especially if they do come from one of the minorities that were impacted the most out of Charlie Kirk's ideals. And I think we just need to accept that. And maybe we should be more angry at the system that allowed this to happen in the first place. That's all.
I believe today he was killed for the words that he says and the things that he stood for. And we're honestly shocked. We're devastated, shocked, and angry. And those are just natural feelings.
How close were you to him?
Charlie Kirk is a friend. He was a good friend. I spoke at many of his events over the years. Knew him when he was a lot younger. And, I mean, he's not much older than my oldest daughter. But I just think it's really, honestly, horrific.
What kind of legacy does he leave behind?
Charlie Kirk leaves a huge legacy. It's going to be hard for anybody to fill his shoes. He was extremely important. Students all over the country would get very excited if they found out he was coming to their college campus. He brought in thousands of people to hear him speak. Even people that didn't agree with him would come, ask questions, even argue with him. He was always about the debate. And Charlie Kirk was never for violence. And to see him murdered in such a graphic way in front of the camera, and that video is too gruesome. Honestly, I hope it gets taken down. I don't think his wife or children one day should ever see it.
Dot family, today we are reflecting on the life and sudden death of Charlie Kirk, a well-known conservative activist and media figure in the United States. From his rise as a founder of Turning Point USA to his role as a powerful voice among youth conservatives, Charlie Kirk's journey left a lasting impact. His tragic death at just 31 years has sparked deep conversation about politics, figure discourse, and the climate we live in. Relax, grab your coffee, I will be back for more documentary.
The hypocrisy of eulogizing and idolizing Charlie Kirk as a political martyr and political hero is staggering. The depth of gaslighting, untruths, the shameful opportunistic politicization of his assassination is a clear attempt to rewrite his history. Now, we know exactly who Charlie Kirk was, and there's no way on God's earth we're going to let you tell us what he was not. Charlie Kirk's legacy is a legacy of hate. He was a racist, white nationalist, white supremacist, anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, transphobic, Zionist bigot. And whatever my view of him is, doesn't change the fact that I find his assassination absolutely wrong. Multiple truths can coexist. First off, these hypocrites, his supporters, are manufacturing a crisis of war and using him as their symbol to go fight. Fight what exactly? Let me just say with my full chest that I am glad that it's not a black or immigrant that killed Charlie Kirk, because it is a white person that killed him. You know that, right? If it had been a black or immigrant, that information would have leaked out a long time ago, and this whole apparatus of hate would have been targeted against the people who Charlie Kirk has spent his entire existence targeting. Let not the irony be lost on you that the same Charlie Kirk that pathologized black people as criminals and went on and on about black on black crime is now the face and symbol of white on white crime, which we all know is far worse than black on black crime. These same hypocrites tell us there is no place for political violence. I agree. But Charlie Kirk was politically violent. His language was politically violent. He supported gun violence and opposed gun control. The same person who said it is right for there to be a cost of gun deaths every year so that we can have the right to arms has now become the cost of gun violence he wanted other people to pay the price for. No political violence, you say. When Charlie Kirk endorsed and manufactured consent for Israel's genocide and political violence, crimes against humanity, against Palestinians every single day. These God-forsaken freedom of speech hypocrites are now hunting down people who are exercising their freedom of speech to either celebrate or quite frankly say they don't give a rat's ass that Charlie Kirk is dead. And these hypocrites are like, how dare you? You must lose your job and you must be punished. And I'm like, These hypocrites must be mad to demand that people extend humanity to Charlie Kirk, who never extended an ounce of humanity to people he targeted. So it is freedom of speech when Charlie Kirk said black people were better off during slavery, that black women lack processing skills, are only good at taking white people's slots. When he compared gay to drug addiction, called trans abomination, spewed anti-Muslim and Islamophobic hate, pushed white supremacist agenda against black and brown people, pushed white nationalist agenda against immigrants.
I don't even know how to start this because it's just beyond devastating. Our hearts, of course, go out to the family of Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed yesterday on a college campus in Utah. In the wake of his death, politicians from both sides of the aisle spoke out against the violence and urged Americans to come together. Take a look.
It is unfortunately emblematic of how our politics is being conducted today. Political violence is not a solution. It is not an answer to disagreement over policy.
This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. It violates the core principles of our country.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America. We cannot risk it.
All of us have got to work together and de-escalate the hate and the rhetoric in this country. And remember, we're Americans, and you can disagree in a way that doesn't end in a horrible way today did.
I mean, isn't a fundamental part of being an American that we are able to express our opinions to each other without fear, without this kind of horror happening? And it seems to be something we have been seeing more and more of. And it's not even left or right. It's just people being taken out because of their beliefs or their thoughts. I mean, Alyssa, you knew Charlie Kirk.
I did. I didn't know him well, but I've known him over the years. And today, my heart just breaks for his young wife, Erica, their 2 kids. I think we have a picture he posted recently of his family. Listen, regardless of your politics, we have got to get to a place in this country where we see people we disagree with not as our enemies, but as fellow Americans with different viewpoints that we are willing to engage. And for people who aren't familiar with Charlie Kirk, he was and even saying was just feels weird today, but an incredibly influential young activist on the right. He started an organization, Turning Point USA, has over 250,000 members nationwide. They're on over 3,000 college campuses. And this is going to hit young Republicans really hard because he made them feel like when they were the lone conservative voice on campus, or they were one of the only Republicans, it was okay to speak up and say their viewpoints. Yeah. And that is a feeling that is going to be felt really deeply. I hope it doesn't have a chilling effect, whether you're left or right, on your ability to speak your mind. I know the one thing we all agree about on this table, we all share our viewpoints, and we should be able to do that without fear.
Well, that's our bread and butter here. So, of course, it's very important. I agree with everything you're saying.
Well, and also, although we don't all align with his views, what I deeply aligned with was he said, when we stop talking, that's when things get bad. The irony of a man who would go across the country to college campuses, that's the pinnacle of thought differences. It's where you're supposed to have conversations, would go, and his series was called Prove Me Wrong. He would talk to people openly who disagreed. It's what we try to exemplify every day and say, this is what we need more of. So the irony of being violently killed while saying those words of what we need more of in this country, I know all of us agree on that part, as there's never a place for political violence.
That's the thing. This man was 31 years old with 2 children, I think ages 1 and 3, a family man, a wife. Now all these children will grow up without their father. This woman will grow up with, grow old without her husband. This country, there's just no place for this kind of violence in this country. I am heartbroken over it. I cannot believe that someone would kill another person because they were speaking their beliefs. You know, this is antithetical to who we are as Americans. The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason. We should be able to voice whatever opinions we have.
This particular political climate that we're in is not unfamiliar to me, being of the age that I'm at. In 1963, Medgar Evers was assassinated. In 1963, JFK was assassinated. In 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated. In 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. And in 1968, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. And we lived through all of that. It was a turbulent time for I was very young. I think it's one of the reasons I got married so young, to tell you the truth. It was such a scary time. You kind of clung to each other, you know, and, you know, I'd like to be positive about it. I think we did get out of it. The country survived it. We got better. I think we will again. We're having a traumatic period right now.
Well, you know, when you think of all of the things that we've seen, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, we saw the aggressiveness when they went after the assault. Thank you. On Paul Pelosi, the two
the couple in
Minnesota. This is not the way we do it. It's just, this is not the way we do it. And we say this every time, but somehow it's not resonating. And I hope that young Republicans never forget that they have a voice. It's already been proved. They have a voice. We all have voices. We should never, ever be afraid. It's beyond.
Important development there from the FBI. That is a picture released in the last 6 or 7 minutes by the FBI of, quote, a person of interest in the Charlie Kirk killing. That is how they have described it. And that, of course, follows the news briefing we had a little earlier, both from an FBI special agent and the DPS commissioner for Utah.
As we close this documentary, the story of Charlie Kirk reminds us of how one individual can shape conversation, inspire movement, and steer debate across entire nation. Whether people agree with his view or strongly oppose them, one can not deny the influence he has on political discussion in America. His untimely passing during a public event has left family, friends, supporters, and critics alike reflect on the fragility of lives and incentive of our modern politics environment. This movement is not just about one man, but also about us as a society. It challenges us to ask, how can we hold strong opinion, defending our belief, and still create a culture where dialogue is safe, respectful, constructive? The death of Charlie Kirk is a reminder that beyond politics, we are all human beings, deserving of life, respect, and safety. To find the Dot family, let us use this moment to think deeply about how we interact with one another, especially when we disagree. Change begins not just in a big stage, but in how we talk to friends and neighbors and even strangers online. We give credit to the creator of the video used in this documentary for helping bringing this story to light. And now, I invite you, my viewers, to share your opinion at the comment section. What lesson do you think we can learn from this story? Don't forget to like this video, share it to others, subscribe, and stay connected with more meaningful conversation. Together, let's keep finding the dots, seeking understanding, connecting the truth in every story we tell. Thanks.